It was supposed to be just another birthday, one more year stacked on top of all the others I'd spent pretending I was fine. But then the door opened, and he walked in like a ghost wearing the face I had tried for years to forget. I almost laughed. Because what else do you do when the person who broke your heart in ways you swore you'd never recover from shows up holding a bottle of cheap champagne and looking like regret in human form? His name was Daniel. And once upon a time, he was my everything. The boy I loved at 17. The man who vanished at 20. And now, somehow, the stranger standing in my living room at 25. My friends had thrown the party without telling me who they'd invited. They thought it would be fun. I thought it was the universe playing a cruel joke. The music thumped low from a Bluetooth speaker. Candles flickered on a cake I hadn't touched. And every sound in the room went dull the second I saw him. "Ethan," he said, voice breaking slightly on my name. I wanted to tell him to leave. To throw the champagne back at him. Glass shattering. Bubbles fizzing down the floorboards. I wanted to demand why he had disappeared when I needed him most. But instead, all I could do was stare. My throat tight, my chest heavy, and my hands trembling with a cocktail of fury and longing. Because the truth, the one I had buried beneath layers of casual hookups, work deadlines, and sleepless nights, was that I had never stopped loving him. "Happy birthday." He tried again, and I hated how soft his voice sounded. Like he had rehearsed it in the car, knowing it wouldn't be enough. My best friend Rachel raised an eyebrow, clearly sensing the storm that was about to erupt. She shot me a look, silently asking if I wanted her to drag him out. God, I should have said yes. But no. Instead, I shook my head, lips pressed together, and let him stay. The party carried on awkwardly after that. Friends laughing too loudly. Drinks poured too quickly. While my eyes kept betraying me, darting back to him every few seconds. He stood by the window, shadows cutting across his face, looking both out of place and utterly at home. Finally, when most of the guests left, and Rachel gave me one last "you sure about this" glance before disappearing out the door, it was just us. Just like before. The silence pressed against us. "You shouldn't have come," I said flatly, arms crossed. "I know," he whispered, "but I had to." And just like that, every wall I had built started to crack. I wasn't ready to forgive him, but I also wasn't ready to lose him again. That was the cruel irony of love. It made you soft, even when you swore you'd turn to stone. The last time I had seen him was the night he left for college out of state. No goodbye, no explanation, just vanished. Later, I heard rumors, family pressure, fear, someone else. I never got the truth. Until now. Why? My voice was sharper than I intended. Why now? After all these years. Daniel took a step closer, and I felt the weight of every memory between us pressing down on the space. His eyes were glossy, his jaw clenched. "Because I never stopped loving you," he said simply. "And because I was a coward." The words landed like a punch, stealing the air from my lungs. We stood there, facing each other in the dim glow of birthday candles that were almost burned down to nothing. "You don't get to just walk back into my life and say that," I snapped. "You don't get to act like," my voice cracked. And I hated it. "Like I didn't destroy you." He finished for me, his own voice trembling. "Yes." I breathed. His hand twitched at his side, like he wanted to reach for me but wasn't sure if he was allowed. That hesitation broke me more than any words could. "I thought I was protecting you," he admitted finally. "Back then, I thought leaving was the only way to keep you safe." "Safe from what?" I demanded. "My father," he said bitterly. "From the life he wanted for me. From the life he would have ruined for you if he knew about us." I was scared, Ethan. I was terrified. So I ran. The confession hit harder than I expected. I had imagined 1,000 explanations, none of them this raw, this human. My anger didn't dissolve, but it shifted. Beneath it was grief, and beneath the grief was something I had never let go of: love. Daniel's voice cracked as he continued. I thought time would fix it, that maybe one day I'd come back, and you'd hate me less. But seeing you tonight, I realize time hasn't done a damn thing. I still love you, and I still can't breathe without you. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to pull him into my arms. I wanted both at once, and it was tearing me apart. The clock on the wall ticked. Candles flickered, and for the first time in years, I let myself look at him not as the boy who broke me, but as the man standing in front of me now broken, repentant, desperate, and maybe, just maybe, still mine. The apartment was silent, save for the faint hum of the city outside. His eyes locked onto mine, and in them, I saw every night we had spent sneaking into each other's rooms, every whispered promise, every stolen kiss under the bleachers. I remembered the first time he had told me he loved me, voice shaking, fingers laced with mine, hearts pounding against the possibility of being caught. And now here he was, older, worn down by regret, but still the same Daniel who had once made me feel like the world wasn't so heavy. My lips parted, but I didn't know what to say, so he took the step I couldn't. Daniel moved closer until we were inches apart. His hand lifted slowly, giving me time to pull away, but I didn't. When his fingers brushed mine, it was electric, a reminder that no matter how much I had tried, I could never erase him. Please, he whispered. Just, let me explain. Let me make this right. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I just let his hand linger against mine, both of us trembling under the weight of everything unsaid. And in that moment, on the night of my 25th birthday, I realized something terrifying. I still wanted him, even if wanting him meant risking everything all over again. Daniel's fingers lingered against mine like they belonged there, like no time had passed at all. My chest rose and fell unevenly, my body caught in a war between pulling him closer and shoving him away. You don't get to do this, I said, though my voice betrayed me with its softness. He searched my face. Do what? Touch me like nothing happened. Talk to me like you didn't disappear. His hand retreated slightly, but not completely. That hesitation again. God, that hesitation was worse than any lie. I stepped back, creating space, even though every nerve in me screamed for the opposite. My apartment suddenly felt too small, too suffocating, as though the walls themselves remembered what we had been. Daniel didn't move. He just watched me, I was carrying a weight I wasn't sure I was strong enough to hold. Ethan, he said quietly, I know I don't deserve another chance. I know that, but I'm begging you to hear me out. I hated that my body betrayed me, that part of me leaned toward him despite my words. I hated that his voice still carried enough power to undo me. I busied myself with the cake, blowing out the last of the flickering candles before they collapsed into the frosting. Anything to keep my hands occupied. Anything to avoid looking at him too long. The silence stretched, heavy, broken only by the muffled city noise outside. Finally, I sighed. Fine. You've got 5 minutes. A flash of relief crossed his face. He took a breath, steadying himself, and when he spoke, it was with the kind of raw honesty I didn't know if I was ready for. My father found out about us senior year. Daniel began. I thought he'd kill me. Not literally, though maybe part of me believed he could, but he made it clear he would destroy everything if I stayed with you. He threatened to pull me out of school, cut me off, force me into some miserable version of his life. And worse, said he'd go after you, your family. He knew where your dad worked. Ethan. He said he'd ruin him, I froze, frosting knife trembling in my hand. He couldn't. I whispered. Daniel's expression was haunted. He could. You don't know the things he was capable of. And I was 17. Scared out of my mind. I thought walking away was the only way to protect you. So I did. I left, even though it killed me. The knife clattered against the plate, and I pressed both palms against the counter, breathing hard. For years, I had believed he left because I wasn't enough, because loving me had been a mistake, because I wasn't worth the fight. And now he was standing here, telling me he had left to protect me. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or furious. You should have told me, I said, voice sharp. I know, he whispered. But I was terrified and ashamed. I didn't want you to see how weak I was. My throat tightened. You weren't weak, Daniel. You were just, I broke off, swallowing hard. God, you were everything to me. And then you were gone. He flinched like the words had cut him. I know, he said again, softer this time. And I've hated myself for it every day. I turned away, staring out the window at the blurred city lights. Cars honked in the distance. People laughed on the street below. And yet here I was, suspended in a moment that felt both surreal and inevitable. Why now? I asked finally, my back still to him. Why come back after all this time? I heard his footsteps behind me, careful, hesitant. Because I saw your name on Rachel's invite list. He admitted. I almost didn't come. I told myself it was too late, that you'd never want to see me again. But I couldn't stay away. Not tonight. Not on your birthday. Slowly, I turned to face him. His eyes shone, unguarded, like he was placing everything in my hands and waiting for me to either crush it or cradle it. I thought maybe, he said softly, if I saw you again, maybe there'd still be something left to save. My heart twisted. Damn him. Damn him for still knowing exactly how to cut through my defenses. We stood there, silence thick between us, and I hated how badly I wanted him to close the distance. But I couldn't forget the years of silence, the unanswered texts, the empty nights where I lay awake wondering what I had done wrong. You broke me, I whispered, voice shaking. Tears welled in his eyes. And I'd spend the rest of my life making it right if you'd let me. The sincerity in his voice was like a blade and a bomb all at once. For the first time in years, I saw not just the boy who left me, but the man who had come back fragile, desperate, and maybe still mine. But forgiveness wasn't a switch I could flip. So I drew a shaky breath and said, I don't know if I can trust you again. Daniel nodded, swallowing hard. Then let me earn it. The weight of his words lingered in the room long after he said them. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Instead, I sat down on the couch, head in my hands, trying to breathe through the storm inside me. Daniel didn't push. He just sat down a cautious distance away, leaving space between us but not too much. Like he knew exactly how close he could be without breaking me further. We sat in silence, the hum of the city filling the space where words failed us. And for the first time in years, I let myself imagine what it might mean if I didn't push him away, if I let him stay. Do you remember that night at the lake? Daniel asked suddenly, voice gentle. I looked up at him, startled. The one where we snuck out, thinking we were so clever, and ended up shivering under that old blanket in your truck bed. He smiled faintly, a memory tugging at his lips. You made me promise we'd do it again after graduation. The memory hit me like a wave, laughter echoing over water. His hand warm in mine, the stars endless above us. The night that felt like forever stretched out ahead. I swallowed hard. I remember. Daniel's smile faltered. I broke that promise. 2. I should have been angry. Instead, I felt the ache of what we'd lost pressing against my ribs. Why are you reminding me of this? I asked. Because I want to make new promises. He said simply. Ones I'll keep. The vulnerability in his voice was unbearable. It made me want to believe him, even though I knew I shouldn't. Silence stretched again, but this time it felt different, softer, charged with something unspoken. Daniel shifted closer, his knee brushing mine, and the contact sent a jolt through me. I should have moved away. Instead, I stayed. His hand hovered near mine again, waiting, always waiting. And this time, I didn't pull back. Our fingers touched, tentative, then intertwined slowly, like testing the weight of something fragile. And when I looked at him, I saw the boy I had loved and the man I maybe still did. The room faded, the cake, the empty glasses, the city outside. All that remained was him. Ethan. He whispered, voice trembling. Please don't shut me out. And for the first time since he had left, I didn't. We sat like that for what felt like hours. Hands entwined. Words unnecessary. But deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The past wasn't something we could erase in a night. Forgiveness wasn't something I could hand out like a birthday favor. But maybe, just maybe, love was stubborn enough to survive the wreckage. And maybe I was stubborn enough to let it. Daniel's thumb brushed over my knuckles, feather light, like he was terrified I might pull away at any second. The fragility of it made my chest ache in ways I couldn't explain. I should have yanked my hand back. I should have told him to leave, to stop doing this, to stop making me remember how much I loved him. But I didn't. Instead, I let my fingers curl around his, my pulse hammering so loud it was all I could hear. The apartment was dim now. The candles on the cake long burned out, leaving the room lit only by the glow of the city lights spilling through the windows. The silence between us was heavy, but not the suffocating kind. It was charged, electric, almost alive. I hated it. I loved it. I wanted more. Ethan, Daniel said softly, breaking the quiet. I need you to know, I never stopped thinking about you. Not once. Every city I lived in, every night I went to Beatty wondered if you hated me, if you were okay, if you'd moved on. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. And did you hope I moved on? Did you want that? His grip on my hand tightened, desperate. No. God, no. I wanted you to find happiness, but selfishly, I prayed you hadn't, because it meant there was still a chance for us. My breath caught. That's twisted. You know that. A sad smile tugged at his lips. Yeah, but it's the truth. The way he was looking at me like I was still his, like I'd always been his, was dangerous. It made me want to forget the years of silence, the nights I cried myself to sleep, the anger I had nurtured just to keep from drowning in grief. But I couldn't forget. I wouldn't let myself. You hurt me, I whispered. I know, he said immediately, his voice breaking. And I'll never forgive myself for it. I wanted to scream at him, to shake him, to make him understand the depth of the hole he'd left in me. But the tears welling in his eyes stopped me cold. Because this wasn't the boy who had left me behind. This was a man carrying years of regret like a punishment he could never escape. And for the first time, I realized wasn't asking me to erase what he'd done. He was begging me for the chance to make something new. I pulled my hand free, standing abruptly. His face crumpled. But I needed space. I needed air. I can't just let you back in, I said, pacing the length of the room. You can't show up after 5 years and expect everything to be fine. Life doesn't work like that. I don't expect fine, he said, standing too. His voice was steady now, strong. I expect you to hate me. I expect you to slam the door in my face. But I also know he hesitated, his chest rising and falling fast. I know we're not done, Ethan. I feel it. And I think you do too. My heart stuttered. Damn him. Damn him for being right. I crossed my arms, trying to build a wall between us. What do you want from me, Daniel? He stepped closer, his eyes burning into mine. A chance. That's all. A chance to prove I'm not the same scared kid I was back then. A chance to love you the way you deserve. The rawness in his voice cut through me. He meant it. Every word. But love wasn't that simple. Love wasn't enough to fix the years we'd lost. I shook my head, trying to steady myself. I don't know if I can give you that. He nodded slowly, as though he'd expected it. Then let me try until you do. The intensity of his words hung in the air, thick and undeniable. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to feel. All I knew was that part of me stupid, reckless, still bleeding wanted to let him try. The silence stretched again, broken only when my phone buzzed with a new text. Rachel, you okay? Do I need to come back? I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed back, I'll be fine. But fine was a lie. Fine was impossible. Daniel's eyes searched mine as I set the phone aside. Talk to me, he whispered. I hesitated, then finally said the thing I hadn't let myself say in years. You were the love of my life, Daniel. And when you left, felt like you took everything with you. How do I trust you not to do it again? His face crumpled, like the words had shattered something inside him. You don't. Not yet. But I'll spend every day proving to you that I'm here to stay. That I'm not running anymore. His certainty shook me to my core. The city outside seemed louder now. Sirens wailing in the distance. Laughter spilling up from the street. Life was moving. Unstoppable. While we stood frozen in a moment that could either destroy us or save us. I didn't know which. Daniel. I whispered. I can't do this tonight. His shoulders sagged, disappointment flickering across his face. But he nodded. I understand. I expected him to argue, to beg, to push. But instead, he stepped back, giving me the space I needed, even if it killed him to do it. And somehow, that restraint broke me more than anything else. He walked toward the door slowly, like every step hurt. When his hand touched the knob, he paused, looking back at me one last time. Happy birthday, Ethan, he said softly. I hope I get to spend the next one with you. And then he was gone. The door clicked shut, and the silence that followed was deafening. I sank onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. My chest ached, my head spun, and all I could think about was him. His voice, his eyes, his hand in mine. Damn him. Damn him for still owning me after all this time. The next morning, I woke to sunlight spilling across my face and a knot of emotions in my chest I couldn't untangle. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Rachel. So, are you going to tell me why Daniel was at your party? I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. What could I even say? That the boy who had broken me showed up on my doorstep and begged for a second chance. That part of me wanted to slam the door on him. But another part deeper, louder, wanted to fling it wide open. Instead, I typed back, it's complicated. Her reply came almost instantly. Then I'm bringing coffee. Be ready. I sighed. Of course she was. When Rachel arrived an hour later, 2 lattes in hand, she didn't bother with pleasantries. She dropped onto the couch beside me, shoved a cup into my hand, and said, Talk. I tried to brush it off, to downplay it, But Rachel had known me too long. She saw right through me. So he just showed up. She pressed. Yeah. I muttered. And you? What? Listen to him. Let him stay. I nodded reluctantly. She sighed, shaking her head. Ethan, I love you. But please tell me you're not actually considering letting him back into your life. My chest tightened. I don't know. She stared at me, exasperated. He hurt you. Badly. You swore you'd never let him near you again. I know, I said quietly. Then why are you even hesitating? Because I still love him, I thought. Because no matter how hard I tried, I never stopped. But I couldn't say that out loud. Not yet. Instead, I looked down at my coffee and whispered, because part of me wants to believe him. Rachel groaned, rubbing her temples. God, you're going to kill me. Fine. Do whatever you want. But just remember, if he hurts you again, I'll bury him. Despite everything, a laugh escaped me. Noted. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Because Daniel wasn't gone. He had walked back into my life. And whether I liked it or not, he wasn't leaving my mind anytime soon. That night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, I replayed his words over and over. Let me earn it. I'll spend every day proving I'm not running anymore. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But believing him meant risking everything all over again. And I wasn't sure I was strong enough for that. Not yet. The days after my birthday felt like walking a tightrope between the past and the present. Every step I took, every breath I drew, carried the weight of a decision I hadn't made yet. Daniel hadn't called. He hadn't texted. He hadn't shown up at my door again like some desperate rom-com cliché. And that silence unsettled me more than his presence ever could. Because it meant he was waiting. And waiting meant he was serious. By Wednesday, the unease gnawed at me so badly that I found myself checking my phone every 5 minutes. Half expecting a message. Half dreading it. When it finally buzzed, my heart lurched. Coffee. Just coffee. No pressure. I stared at the text, my thumb hovering over the screen. The rational part of me screamed, say no. Protect yourself. But the part of me that still ached at the sound of his name whispered yes. After what felt like hours of staring at those 4 words, I typed back, 1 hour. Downtown. Don't be late. The cafe was one of those hipster places with exposed brick walls and overpriced lattes topped with foam art. I got there early, partly because I didn't want him to think I was waiting, but mostly because I couldn't sit still at home anymore. When he walked in, I felt my chest tighten the way it always had around him. He wore a simple gray sweater, his hair a little messy, eyes tired but hopeful. And damn him, he still looked like the boy I'd fallen for. Hey, he said, almost shyly, as if we hadn't already crossed every possible line days ago. Hey, I replied, forcing my voice flat. We ordered. We sat. And then the silence stretched. Unbearable. Finally, I broke it. So what is this? Daniel, you trying to prove you've changed by buying me a latte? He winced, but didn't look away. No. I'm here because I want to know about you. Not just the pieces I remember. The real you. The man you've become since. He trailed off, shame shadowing his face. Since you left. I finished for him. Yeah. He whispered. I didn't know what I'd expected. Apologies. Begging. Maybe even rehearsed lines about second chances. But I hadn't expected this. His focus wasn't on defending himself. It was on me. So tell me. He said softly. What did I miss? The question cut deeper than anything else he could have said. Because he had missed everything. My first apartment. My first real job. The nights I spent drowning in loneliness. The mornings I forced myself out of bed anyway. You missed a lot, I said coldly, though my throat ached. Then start small, he urged. Tell me something about your life now. I wanted to shut him out, but against my better judgment, I found myself saying, I work in marketing. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I have a cat. His name is Milo. And I like running. Helps me clear my head. Daniel smiled faintly. You always hated running. I still do, I admitted, surprising myself with a small laugh. But it works. For a moment, the weight between us lightened, the air softening with something dangerously close to ease. We talked for nearly 2 hours. About my job. About his. He was working in architecture now, designing buildings instead of just sketching them in the margins of his notebooks like he used to. He told me about the places he'd lived, the loneliness of hotel rooms, the way every new city felt less like a fresh start and more like running further from the only home he'd ever known me. By the time we left, the walls I'd built around myself felt thinner, cracks forming where his words had seeped in. Outside, the autumn air was sharp, leaves skittering across the sidewalk. We paused, awkward, as if neither of us wanted the moment to end. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? I asked. For letting me sit here with you. For not slamming the door in my face again. For giving me a chance to remember what it feels like just to be near you. I didn't reply. Couldn't. So I just nodded and walked away, heart pounding like I just sprinted a mile. But it didn't stop there. The next week, he showed up outside my office with lunch. No strings. He promised. Just wanted to make sure you ate. Another time, he sent a text. Saw this and thought of you. Attached was a picture of a stray cat curled up in a bookstore window. And once, late at night when I couldn't sleep, my phone buzzed. Can't stop thinking about you. Hope you're okay. I didn't answer. But I didn't delete it either. Rachel noticed the shift immediately. You're smiling at your phone again, she accused one Friday night as we sat on my couch with pizza and wine. I'm not. I lied. Cheeks warming. She arched a brow. You are. And let me guess it's him. I didn't deny it. She sighed. Ethan, I know you. I can see the way you're softening. Just, please be careful. Don't let him in so easily. Her words echoed in my head long after she left. Because she was right. I was softening. And it scared me. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. It was raining hard. Sheets of water blurring the city into gray. I was walking home from work. Drenched. Miserable. When a car pulled up beside me. The passenger window rolled down. Get in. Daniel called. Rain dripping from his hair even though he leaned out only a little. I hesitated. Soaked to the bone. But eventually yanked the door open and climbed in. The warmth of the car. The scent of his cologne familiar. Overwhelming hit me all at once. Thanks. I muttered. Teeth chattering. He handed me his jacket without a word. The silence between us was thick. Broken only by the sound of rain pounding against the roof. Finally, I said, you can't keep doing this. Doing what? He asked gently. Showing up. Making it harder to hate you. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. Then don't hate me. I laughed bitterly. It's not that simple. It could be. He insisted, turning to look at me, eyes blazing. You're the one making it complicated. I love you, Ethan. I never stopped. And I know you still feel it too. His words hit like a lightning strike. Raw and undeniable. And the worst part. He was right. I opened my mouth to deny it. But the truth tore through me before I could stop it. I do. I whispered, voice shaking. I still love you, and I hate myself for it. The car went silent, the admission hanging between us like fragile glass. Daniel's breath caught. Then stop hating yourself. Love isn't wrong, Ethan. It never was. I turned away, tears stinging my eyes. You left me, Daniel. You abandoned me when I needed you most. How do I forgive that? He reached out, tentative, his fingers brushing mine on the seat between us. By letting me prove I'll never do it again. He said softly. The sincerity in his voice broke something inside me. And in that moment, with rain hammering down around us, I realized I was standing at a crossroads. Either slam the door on him forever or risk everything by opening it. The rain had stopped by the time Daniel drove me home. Streetlights reflected in puddles like liquid gold, casting a warm glow over the wet pavement. The air smelled of wet asphalt and autumn leaves, sharp and clean. For a moment, the world felt almost magical, like it existed just for us. A bubble outside time. When we reached my building, he didn't move to get out immediately. Instead, he looked at me with that look, the one that could undo every ounce of control I had left. His eyes, earnest and dark, seemed to reach into the corners of my heart I had tried to lock away. Can I come up? He asked quietly. I stiffened. Every rational thought screamed no. But my body betrayed me. A soft, helpless yes escaped before I could stop it. The apartment smelled like comfort, coffee, faint vanilla from the candle I'd burned the night before. And me. Daniel stepped inside, shedding his wet jacket, letting it fall onto the coat rack. We stood there awkwardly, the air heavy with unspoken words. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what he expected. Do you want? He began, then trailed off. Sit. I offered, my voice barely above a whisper. He sank onto the couch beside me, careful not to touch me. The distance was excruciating. I wanted him closer. I wanted him pressing against me, his warmth seeping into every frozen corner of my soul. Instead, I just watched him, my heart hammering. Finally, he spoke. Ethan, I know I don't deserve this. I know I don't deserve anything after what I did. But I can't keep pretending like the past doesn't exist. I want to face it with you, if you'll let me. I closed my eyes, leaning back against the couch. You hurt me, Daniel. You left me when I needed you most. How do you expect me to just forget that? He exhaled slowly, a mixture of pain and regret etched into his features. I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to forgive. Slowly. One day at a time. And if I fail, I'll accept it. But I can't live like this anymore, wondering, hoping, regretting. I need to try, even if it's terrifying. The truth in his voice was undeniable. I hated that it resonated so deeply within me. I glanced at him, really looked at him, for the first time in years. He was different, not the scared boy who had run away, but a man molded by time, mistakes, and longing. His jaw was stronger, his shoulders broader, yet there was a vulnerability in his posture, a carefulness in his movements, as if every step was measured to avoid hurting me further. Daniel, I whispered, what if I can't forgive you? Then he did the thing that nearly shattered me entirely. He reached out, very slowly, until his fingers brushed the back of my hand. Then I'll wait. As long as it takes. I'll wait for the day you can. Because I love you. And I can't let you go again. I wanted to pull away. My mind screamed at me to resist, to protect myself. But my heart was already reaching for him. We spent the rest of the evening talking. Really talking. About everything we had missed, laughing at the memories of our teenage escapades. Crying over the mistakes and misunderstandings that had built mountains between us. At one point, I admitted, voice trembling, I dreamed of you every night after you left. Not nightmares, just dreams of what could have been, what we could have had. And when I woke up alone, felt like part of me had died. His hand found mine again, holding it like a lifeline. Ethan, I dreamed too. Every night. About you. About us. I thought if I could forget you, maybe I could survive the pain. But forgetting never worked. Not once. Hours passed. I didn't notice the time. Didn't notice the world outside fading into darkness. I only noticed him, his hand, his voice, the way his presence made every scar in my chest ache and bloom all at once. At some point, he leaned closer, his forehead resting against mine. Can I kiss you? He asked, almost reverently. My answer was instinctive. I nodded. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, like testing the waters of a river after years of drought. But then it deepened, urgent and desperate, carrying with it every unsaid word, every lost moment, every aching night we had spent apart. I clung to him, afraid to let go, afraid that if I did, he would vanish again. When we finally pulled apart, breathless and trembling, I rested my head against his shoulder. You can't leave again, I murmured. I won't. He whispered. I swear. Not now. Not ever. You're my home, Ethan. And I'm never running from that again. For the first time in years, I believed him. But love, I knew, wasn't that simple. Trust had to be rebuilt. Walls had to be scaled. Pain had to be acknowledged, not ignored. The next few weeks were a delicate dance. Daniel was everywhere and nowhere, sending texts, showing up with small gestures, waiting patiently while I tested the boundaries of my forgiveness. He learned my routines, my quirks, the little habits I had developed during our years apart. And with each act, small and deliberate, he chipped away at the armor I had built. One night, he brought over a blanket and took me to the rooftop of my building. The city stretched beneath us, a canvas of lights and shadows. He held me close, and for the first time in years, I felt safe. Look at this, he whispered. The world hasn't stopped, but it feels like it can wait, just for us. I let myself believe it, even if only for a moment. Not everything was smooth. There were arguments, sharp words, moments where the past clawed its way back into the present. I found myself angry at him for the simplest things, the way he hesitated, the way he lingered too long on memories that weren't mine, the way his eyes still held the boy I had loved rather than the man I was learning to love now. But there were also moments of tenderness that stole my breath away. The way he would brush a strand of hair from my face, the way he held my hand when I walked into a room, the way he whispered my name like a promise rather than a memory. One rainy evening, as we walked through the empty streets, he stopped and turned to face me. Ethan, I know this is hard, and I know I've hurt you more than anyone should ever be hurt. But I'm asking you, please, take my hand. Walk with me. Let's figure this out. Together. I stared at him, rain soaking through my jacket, heart pounding. The world seemed to shrink until it was only us two people, scarred but alive, facing the possibility of something new. I hesitated, then took a deep breath. Okay, I said finally. His hand found mine instantly, warm and steady, grounding me. Okay, he echoed. And with that, we walked forward, not into a perfect world, not into a life without mistakes, but into one where we could heal together. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. The journey was far from over. Trust didn't rebuild itself overnight. Forgiveness didn't come with a single word or a single gesture, but with every touch, every shared smile, every vulnerable conversation. We stitched together the pieces we had lost. Daniel wasn't the boy who ran away anymore. And I wasn't the boy left behind. We were something new, something fragile and precious, something worth fighting for. And for the first time in years, I believed that maybe, just maybe, love could survive even the deepest betrayals. The months that followed were a delicate balance of hope and caution. Every morning I woke with a mixture of anticipation and fear, unsure if the day would end in laughter or tears. Daniel never pushed. He never demanded my forgiveness. But he never wavered in showing up physically and emotionally, proof that he was committed to earning back the life he had walked away from. We celebrated small victories, our first movie night without awkward silence, our first dinner where laughter didn't hide bitterness, our first rainy walk when I didn't flinch at his hand brushing mine. Each moment stitched another thread into the fragile tapestry of trust we were rebuilding. It wasn't perfect. Old wounds flared unexpectedly. A memory, a text from someone in his past, a glance that reminded me too sharply of the boy who had left. I would react, sometimes with anger, sometimes with retreat. And Daniel, patient but human, would sometimes falter, showing his own fear of losing me again. One evening, as we sat on my couch watching a movie neither of us was really paying attention to, I felt the familiar spike of doubt. "Daniel," I said softly, voice trembling, "what if this isn't enough? What if it never heals?" He reached over, brushing my hair back from my face. "Then we keep trying. Day by day. Step by step. Nothing worth having comes easy. Ethan. I've waited 5 years for this chance. I'll wait as long as it takes to make it right." And there it was again, the truth in his eyes. The undeniable pull of something I had never stopped wanting. Winter arrived, frosting the city in silver and white. The holidays, always a reminder of time passing without him, felt different now. We decorated my apartment together, laughing at our clumsy attempts to hang lights and arguing playfully over ornaments. For the first time in years, I felt like I was reclaiming pieces of my life that had been shadowed by his absence. One night, after a particularly snowy evening, we found ourselves standing on my balcony, city lights glittering below us. The wind whipped through our jackets, chilling us, but the warmth between us was undeniable. "Ethan," he said quietly, turning to face me, "I know I can't erase the past. I know there are things you'll never forget. But I want every day from now to be proof that I'm here, that I'll never leave you again." I looked at him, the man who had haunted my dreams, the boy who had broken me, the one who was now trying so hard to rebuild what we'd lost. My heart ached with longing, with gratitude, with love. I want that too," I whispered. And just like that, our lips met in the snow-dusted night, a kiss that carried forgiveness, desire, and the promise of a future we were daring to imagine. Spring arrived, bringing with it the kind of renewal only nature could orchestrate. The city warmed, flowers bloomed, and so did we. Our days were filled with quiet intimacy, coffee in the morning, stolen kisses in the kitchen, hands intertwined during evening walks. Every gesture, no matter how small, became a testament to the resilience of love. Daniel began sharing his life fully with me, introducing me to friends he hadn't known I'd meet, showing me parts of himself he had kept locked away. And I, in turn, opened up, letting him into my world completely. The walls I had built for years crumbled under the steady force of his patience, his love, his unwavering presence. There were still challenges, moments when doubt crept in, moments when past insecurities bubbled to the surface. But we faced them together. We argued, yes, but we also listened. We faltered, yes, but we held each other up. One afternoon, as we sat in a quiet cafe tucked away from the city's chaos, I realized just how far we had come. Daniel reached across the table, taking my hand, his thumb stroking the back gently. "Ethan," he said, voice low, earnest, "I know I don't deserve a perfect ending after everything. But I promise, I'll spend every day making you feel loved, safe, and cherished. Can we try to be ours completely?" I studied his face, the lines of worry softened, eyes bright with hope, a smile tugging at his lips, and I realized I didn't need perfection. I only needed him, fully present, fully mine. "Yes," I said, feeling the words settle deep in my chest like sunlight breaking through clouds. "Yes, Daniel, we can be ours." That night, walking home under the soft glow of streetlights, snow beginning to dust the streets again, I felt a profound sense of peace. Our fingers were intertwined, warm against the chill, hearts beating in a rhythm that felt like home. Daniel squeezed my hand. "You're everything I've wanted, Ethan. Everything I've dreamed of. I'll never let go again." "I know," I whispered, "and I'm not afraid anymore." We paused at the corner of my street, the city quiet around us. Then, without hesitation, he pulled me close, forehead to forehead, and whispered, "I love you. Always have. Always will." Tears pricked my eyes, not of sorrow, not of regret, but of relief, of joy, of a love that had survived every storm, every betrayal, every silent night apart. "I love you too," I murmured, letting the words sink in, letting them heal the cracks in my heart. The months turned into years. We navigated life together, careers, friends, family, challenges, all with a new understanding of patience, resilience, and unwavering devotion. The past remained a shadow, yes, but it no longer dictated our present. Instead, it reminded us of how far we had come, of the strength of a love that refused to die. Daniel and I built rituals: morning coffee together, Sunday walks, late-night talks on the balcony. We argued sometimes, yes, but we also laughed more than I had in years. Every small gesture was a reaffirmation that we had chosen each other again and again. On the anniversary of that night, my 25th birthday, Daniel surprised me with a quiet dinner in our apartment. Candles flickered, a small cake sat on the table, and he handed me a gift, a simple leather-bound journal. "I want us to write our story," he said softly. "Everything we feel, everything we dream, everything we love. A testament to us, to never forget that love can heal even the deepest wounds." I hugged him tightly, tears slipping freely down my cheeks. "You already did, Daniel. You already did." He held me close, whispering, "And we'll keep doing it, every day, for the rest of our lives." And in that moment, with the glow of candles, the soft hum of the city, and the man I loved holding me like I was the only person in the world, I knew it was true. Everything I thought was lost, the laughter, the love, the trust, had been found again. Not magically, not without struggle, but through patience, courage, and the unwavering heart of someone who refused to give up on us. The unexpected reunion on that birthday night hadn't just healed, might had healed us both. And as we kissed in the quiet warmth of our home, I whispered into the space between us, "Welcome home, Daniel." And he answered, softly but with certainty, "I never left, Ethan. I was always coming back to you." The city outside continued to move, indifferent to our story. But inside, in the quiet intimacy of two hearts mended and intertwined, we had everything. Love, finally, had won. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.